A whole lot of candidates came out for the third quarter of the HollyGrove meeting last month. They all made their sales pitch to the electorate. I didn't catch every single one, but I did get most of it. Here's what each of the candidates said.
My name is Holly Freeman. I'm running to be city council yesterday. I am going to be the only candidate in this race with 14 years of experience in government. 10 years working in the criminal justice system, 4 years at council manager of the Roosevelt office. I was a judicial services director, and I think during the 4 years I get to meet many of you in this room today, handling your constituent needs and your complaints about the neighborhood. I was instrumental at Joe's office in closing down War-a-Lala, if anybody remembers that, and trying to bring it back a quality of life for the neighborhoods there. In my current role at district attorney's office, I'm happy to be there when the inspections occurs. I'm happy to be there when the fire department shut down when the lot was up. I'm happy to be there when it's demolished. And I'm also excited to report that the weekend is an opportunity to be developed there, and that it's going to bring economic growth and back up peace back in the neighborhood as well. So I know that I wanted a little bit about why you did. Also the VA's office will work on criminal life in the neighborhood. Their property has been abandoned for 20 years. We're going to look at what we can do as homeowners to help back life and help the neighborhood get back the quality of life. So I want to be your voice in city council. I want to be partnered with the people. So I always want to be accessible, dependable, and transparent. So that is the candidate that you're looking for, where you're going to change the color.
Built on a platform that some people actually helped out with, as well as community leaders and advocates across the city, to have an in-depth platform that you can find on my website, district8.com or my card. I haven't seen the other candidates' full platform, so I hope that they can learn from it or show their cards as well. For me, I'm all about making sure that in this political moment where we see the rise of fascism here in America, that we fight back block to block, workplace by workplace, and third spaces like this. Building a strong and direct and participatory democracy is very important to me. Whether that's about where your tax dollars go, where your resources go, or if instead of having to wait for the DA's office to do criminal charges on blighted property, you use eminent domain and give that back to the people as a community resource, whether that's through having a community garden or a water containment or a solar farm or even a splash pad for kids. It's important that we start to re-ground ourselves and rebuild the fabric of our community so that way we have a much better opportunity to build a city together, right? And build with that. Anyway, I'm Bob Morrell, and for the people.
All right, and then you hear about that. I started out working in the restaurant business at age 16, where I worked as a line cook, and then worked my way up to catering sales manager for Ralph Lauren Restaurants. After that, I had a career in finance for a long period of time. Then I worked for Councilmember Joe Giarrusso as his policy and budget director for the last 3.5 years. So I want to bring that experience back to City Hall. The knowledge of the budget is the thing that the city council has the biggest control over, and that's how we hold the administration accountable and we get things done. A couple things that I think that are primary that I'm focusing on is workforce development. Right now, the city has one electrician that works for the town. So we have to put outside contractors to come in and fix your street lights. So when you call 311 or you tell Joe's office, we have to outside contract that. It's less efficient and it costs more. We should have a workforce development program where we're providing education and training to our citizens and having them help build back better city services for you. The other thing I'll briefly talk about too is the level of coordination that we all saw during the Super Bowl should be the level of coordination that we should have every single day, not just when the NFL. That means bringing everyone to the table at the same time together on a weekly basis, checking in to see how are we doing on our roads, bringing in sewage and water board. And I'm going to promise that I'm going to have that at district level, not just at the administrative level. I'm going to bring everybody to the table at the same time. I know that all of you, Joe Giarrusso was a great council member and I loved working for him and everyone loves that he's so accessible. Well, I'm going to level that up for you. I'm not just going to be at City Hall every week. I'm going to be in your neighborhood once a week with a staff member, maybe at this community center. We'll be in another part of the district every week. You are going to see my face sitting down with you and we will be available to talk to you outside of City Hall, not just inside of City. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. I look forward to answering your questions. I'm Amy the parent. I'm asking for your votes on
and also a teacher. So I've been working in public schools in New Orleans for about 15 years. And I teach social studies. So what that means is I'm in charge of teaching all of our 12 to 14-year-olds how the government is supposed to work. And it doesn't. So that is a frustration that I feel deeply. I have a really hard time teaching my students how things are supposed to go, and then they turn around and they can't see that in action, and it affects them, and it affects their lives and their communities and their families. So I heard earlier Pastor Manning mention our population loss, and that is really the issue that I would say has pushed me into this race. Over the last few years, we've lost 25,000 citizens from New Orleans. And that is a loss that I feel deeply and personally, because we've lost several families from the school that I work at. And beyond that, my brother, who is a captain in the New Orleans Fire Department, just bought a house in Gulfport, Mississippi. So he's going to commute several days a week from Gulfport, where he is going to be paying taxes and enrolling his children in school, to New Orleans, where he's going to be fighting fires with us. Wow. And I am deeply concerned about that trend and how widespread it's become. I came over here from down the road at the park in this neighborhood, and I think about what our students have to offer them as they grow into their future selves and what opportunities they have. So for me, running for this seat means creating space for our kids to be able to stay here in the long run, for them to gain the skills and the knowledge, and then ultimately the job skills that they're going to need to take control of some of these challenges that we're facing. So if we are missing a core set of workers to build streets for us and to manage our drainage system, like, we've got kids that we need to be connecting with those kinds of opportunities. That's really important to me. The other thing is, I feel like our city council for the last several years has been so combative with our mayoral executive branch, and that's a problem for me, because we don't teach kids how to get what they want by fight, right? We teach them how to be cooperative, kind, peaceful, respectful, and safe, like my school does. And I think as a city council member, I want to make sure that I am doing everything I can to reach out and to work collaboratively so that our city can work for everyone. And that's the kind of productivity I'm willing to commit to as a city council member. I'm Alex Mosse. It's so nice to meet you guys. It's to hear from you, and I look forward to working with you. Massachusetts, I've worked with you. Space Force, I've worked with Washington University. And my most significant local project was working with the Lieutenant Governor on the Brick Explorer. I spent 8 months researching this Brick Explorer and creating plans with him and the mayor to go process. So when we talk about the improvements that happened during the Super Bowl, my plan was like the foundation of that, in addition to some other things. But the reason I mention that is because I'm the only person on the candidates who seems to have lived and worked in other places where we've seen good government. I mean, if we've only lived here, we've only seen this. I have been looking at candidate forms from 20 years ago. We complain about the same thing every 4 years. Failed city services, some degree of dissatisfaction with the mayor. Every 4 years, it is the exact same arguments. And then we end up hiring the exact same people who was not only part of that argument, but contributed to getting us there. It's not as if while they were employed and paid by the city, they didn't push forth their best ideas and they were holding them on for this candidacy. So what I do, though, for larger organizations, and what I would do here, is go to the structural flaws of the way we have set up the city, from gutting out city services to third-party service contracts that have no accountability, to 100 external boards, committees, and coalitions that we also fund to do the job that city council is supposed to do, which is to monitor city calls, which isn't even doing services. We have to completely rethink how we organize, pay, and expect things in the city. Because to say, I'm going to improve the road without figuring out why they use sand instead of concrete doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm Bridget Neal. I'm asking for your vote for District A. Thank you.
It could mean life or death, and that 10-second call could be 2 or 3 minutes. Where they'll come and dig a hole in the middle of your street after they just fixed your street, and you gotta wait a whole nother year for that little hole to be fixed. Now, I'm ICE agents or anybody raiding or disrespecting our city, especially economic development sites and work sites. But let me say this. The same kind of energy that we're using against ICE should have been used with little black boys and girls who were raided out of our neighborhoods growing up and put into mandatory minimums in prison system sentences that many of them are still serving right now. So let's start to use that energy for them like we're using that energy now. I'm New Orleans, baby. For real. 1,000%. My thing, and I'm not ashamed to be for New Orleans, the people who fought here, I'm rooted in. Everything my family owns, every generation is here. My theme is a city that works for everyone. I see a city now that works for a few people. If you have connections, if you have relationships, then you know who to call. You shouldn't have to call a particular political person because you have a relationship to get something done that you pay your taxes for. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be taxation without representation. And then Reverend Manning and a couple of the candidates talked about the infighting or fighting. If y'all go back and look at the tape, I stayed out of a lot of the soap opera stuff. Because it's not productive. And being here, we didn't have to wait for this campaign for me to be here. I'm always here without bingo, without snowball, or just to come say hello. And I don't even represent this area. So a lot of times people show up when they're running, but not because there's people in their communities and that people live here who ought to have their attention. That has to stop. I want to change the social order. The social order now is politics, business, and people elections. It ought to be business, people, and politics as a supporting entity. Oliver Thomas, join me with this movement, guys, and it has to be a movement. So we can move them out the way. Okay, I won the NFL and NFL Mothers Award for rescuing people. Guys, I got all the footage of it right here. And I hate to have to say that because I've always paid this forward, but now politically, you got to use the good things now just to distinguish yourself. So I've never talked about it in the awards I won, especially for pulling people out of war.
All right. I'm ready for
Number two, it's a public safety issue. Because if you're undocumented immigrant and you're a victim of a crime, you're not going to follow it. You're undocumented immigrant and you're a witness of a crime, you're not going to prove it. It's also a racial profiling issue. In 2000 and something, when we had a lot of Latino workers here, the NOPD was stopping Latino blocks. And that's the doc. That case came before. And I found that the NOPD was engaged in racial profiling. And they stopped it. That's what that is. And the second thing is with the school system. Look, if our school system isn't delivering and producing children that can read at grade level, that's an economic problem, it's an education problem, which turns to what? Ignorance. So I want to work with the school system in the charge. And work with 5 things. Number 1, we have to make sure our children read at grade level. Number 2, children with special needs need to be accommodated. Number 3, we have to teach our kids physical things. Number 4, we got to teach our teenagers, not high school, skills trades, technology, and life skills. And 5th, we got to support teachers. Look, when I was in public schools, my teacher was going to probably be my brother's teacher, was going to be my sister's teacher. We don't have it. Now, let's talk about the city, these streets. They all screwed up and messed up. But you know what I want to do? I want to combine sewage and water board and public works under one roof. And I want to have a 25-year plan around infrastructure. How much it's going to cost, how we're going to pay for it, how long it's going to take. That's what I want to do. Now, I have 6 seconds left. I'm also informing all the police officers that grew up in the East. Fundamental question for crime in the NOPD. How do you police a city of 380,000 people with tourists and visitors every day the 850 cops. I'm the only law enforcement officer forward in this race. I have a plan. So thank you, Judge Arthur Hunter, running for mayor. Appreciate your support.
HollyGrove members for the past 3 years in the state senate, and I'm honored to be here today as a candidate for mayor. The last time I came before you, it was to talk about what we had just done in the legislative session, many of the challenges that we face around fighting insurance, housing, education, all the things, right? And I decided 6 months ago that I was not going to run for mayor, but I changed my mind. I changed my mind because when I left Conrad Park just 10 minutes ago, Mr. Earl said, how long is it going to take me? It took me too long to get here because the streets were so bad. And if we would have drove any faster, we probably would have blown a tire. What you all have had to deal with is quite frankly unacceptable. When I come here every month and talk about insurance and housing and all of the issues, it pains me because the issues, as critical as those issues are, the issues that really plague HollyGrove the most are everyday quality of life issues. Streets, infrastructure, light, overgrown lots. Let's talk about the two questions that I raised as it relates to ICE. I was the lone voice oftentimes in the state senate fighting against those unconstitutional bills that really need to be challenged in court that are forcing NOPD agents, not just NOPD officers, but DCFS workers, Department of Education workers, state employees to be deputies of ICE. No additional funding, no additional training. They want state employees and local police officers to do the job of the federal government, and I think it's wrong. New Orleans should be a city where we treat people with humanity. We have an immigration issue, but it's not the city of New Orleans' job. We have enough challenges of our own to then be trying to do the job of ICE. So we will continue to treat people with respect, dignity, and humanity as we work through this national crisis. And I stood up to those bad bills in the legislature, and I'll stand up to them as mayor. Got 6 seconds? 60 seconds. Okay. All right. The other question was on education. As you know, in the city of New Orleans, unlike cities like Chicago and others, the city of New Orleans, the mayor is not directly responsible for the schools in our city. But that doesn't leave the mayor off the hook. The mayor has a great responsibility to try to advocate and coordinate amongst education leaders in our city, right? So I would see it as my role to make sure that there's transparency. When there are issues, there's obviously some funding issues right now that we got to work through to try to work through the litigation. Who's going to collect the taxes? Is it going to be the city? Is it going to be the school board? The answer is, I'm sure, somewhere in the middle. And if the city says it's going to pay the school board, then the city needs to pay the school board, right? So we got to work out that settlement, and I think we're on our path to doing that. But issues as it relates to transportation, public safety, mental health, these are all roles that the mayor has to lead on to support the efforts of our local school leaders. That's our time. And I look forward to sharing more with you over the next 3 to 4 months of this campaign. My name is Royce Duplessis, and I'm honored to ask for your support. Thank you.
For a former interim superintendent of New Orleans Police Department. But I am currently working for the DA's office, retired from NOPD in 2024. But before retiring, I started what is now one of the lowest, one of the highest decreases in crime. And I'm so proud of the people here that are sitting behind me. Of course, that's my NOPD family, still making that crime rate go down. But what I did as the NOPD superintendent is author and put a strategic plan in place. That strategic plan it addresses violent crime, technology, and consent decree compliance. And that with that leadership, that's how we got crime down 25%. Excuse me, we got carjackings down 45%, and they continue to go down. So then we also managed to hire 105 new police recruits and 104 civilian employees, and we move forward in the federal consent decree. That is the kind of leadership that we need in the New Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. The kind of leadership that knows what goes on in our jail definitely impacts what happens in our communities, in our families, and in our business. If you want to have a better jail, for people who are housed there or actually kept in there, you have to have a proven law enforcement professional with over 35 years of experience in law enforcement, and that is me. This crisis with the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office did not begin with the escape of 10 inmates. This has been going on for decades. And it's time that we put the correct leadership, the correct management in place and address recruitment, address the budget, address the maintenance service contracts, address the consent decree. We have to, and the violence that's going on inside there. You know, there are people inside the facility that need second and third chance. We have to equip them while they're in there. We have to bring that number down. That number of people that are housed inside. This place can only really comfortably house 800 to 900 inmates at a time. Not the 1,200 or the 1,500 that we're doing now. We need the type of leadership who's going to get that done. And that is me, and I hope I can get your support as your next sheriff of Orleans Parish.
That's the same as that first single session on the parish. My tenure in government goes back to 1975 when I was external auditor for the city of Orleans for 3 years. I became the director of finance for 7 years. I've been the tax assessor. I was assessor for 40 years. When I seeking re-election for an office where I ran, I said, promise something very simple. Fair and equitable settlement practices delivered in a courteous and professional manner and transparent. So when you look at your assessment, you can pull up your no assessor in the state, provided with much information tonight on the website. The intent is trying to build confidence in people that the system is fair. We don't make the market. Tax assessors just get this fall. Once every 4 years, I have the opportunity of requirement that I have to revalue the property. That is a basic fundamental. I have 21 appraisers. 5 of them are independent fee appraisers, been doing it for 25 and 30 years. I have 7 of them that's long-term nationally designated, and that's part of the education program that I put in place to try to make sure that the guy, when he looks at your house, he's got a good feel for what that property is worth. We don't do single property appraisal, we do mass appraisal, which is something simple. You take all the sales of a given neighborhood, and HollyGrove have 3 separate neighborhoods. In those 3 separate neighborhoods, the guy is legit. Once we come up with the average price per square foot on every house, provided that we look at it and determine whether it's in good condition, fair condition, excellent condition, or poor condition. No other variable for you is those people understand simple linear property, the house, just the justice system we use. You're trying to make sure it's fair to everybody. When you disagree with it, there's also another process in place. You got 3 bites at the eye. You can appeal to the board of review, push the city council, the tax commission, or the state courts. Either way, somebody else looks at it independent of us, and we don't take the first. We only use an average and try and come up with it. So if you disagree and you got evidence that shows that your house is not in that condition, then you present that to them. Currently, my tax rolls are open I expanded it to 30 days. Everybody else has 2 weeks. Tax rolls are open from the 14th, actually from the 15th of July to the 15th of August. I seek your support and hope that I can learn for the next 4 years.
So I have Edwin Shorty to come up. He is running for sheriff.
Good afternoon. From the lower 9th Ward. I am a 1999 graduate of Southern University at New Orleans and a 2002 graduate of Southern University Law School. In undergrad, while I was at SUNO, I worked in the jail. There was a special program for college students that have part-time work in the jail, so I worked my way through undergrad in the jail, where I happened to meet my wife, who was not an inmate, but a nurse. So she and I met in the jail, which I get a kick out of all the time. After graduating from law school and passing the bar, I have been practicing bankruptcy and personal injury law, which I think puts me in a good position to run the sheriff's office, because for 20 years, more than 20 years, I have been helping people and corporations rework their finances. And obviously, any organization that has 44 checking accounts needs someone to come in and help rework finances. I was appointed by Governor Edwards to serve on the board of my alma mater. So I've also served for Southern University Board, where I've also a former past chair. What do I want to do at the sheriff's office that I think is so unique? What I want to do is help the New Orleans Police Department. We ask them to do a lot with a little. I think the sheriff's office has got to step in and say, how can we help the New Orleans Police Department? One of the ways I think we can do that is to assist with traffic control. We can assist in dealing with traffic accidents and doing arrests and traffic stops. because obviously, because they're shorthanded, they've got to focus on the things that they've got to focus on, and they don't have time to focus on those things. So we can do that. The other thing we can do is reach out to New Orleans Police Department, and where possible, go to the location and take the individuals that have been arrested from them so that they don't have to travel all the way down to central lockup, and we can cover that so that they're not spending 30 or 40 minutes going to booking and coming back. I ran out of time already?
No, 60 seconds.
40 seconds? 40 seconds. All right, the other thing I want to do is when I worked there was an about-face program. About-face program was the sheriff's office had a special part-time program where individuals who were stationed here in the military worked part-time for the jail. So they've already got basic training. You give them some corrections officer training to supplement the force. There's a way to supplement the force between part-time programs and getting individuals who are retired. When I took over as constable, they don't give you any money. I don't get any money from the state. I don't get any money from the city. The way I make it work is I have retired NOPD officers, retired sheriff's officers who work with me, who work for me. They do details and they give me service hours. That is how we do our services effectively. That's how we get our documents served timely, and that's how we get the evictions done timely. That's the way you can also supplement the force.
Mr. Short, thank you.
Evidence Authority, I hope you vote for me.
All right.
Yeah, I'm running for re-election because I've done everything that I promised this community I would do. When I ran for election, the first time I said we're going to do three things. Number one, we're going to take care of our deputies. That is job one. When I got into office, our deputies were making $15.50 an hour. You might have one deputy on a pod with 60 men. $15.50, one on a pod with 60 men. It keeps us really serious crime. We don't keep people, and NLPD doesn't arrest people now for fines, fees, and tickets. That does not happen. You're in here because you burned the house down with your children in it. Or you shot several people out on the street. This is what we're dealing with. We said we're going to take care of our deputies. We did that. We got them better training. Our training academy is now accredited by the American Correction Association, the only sheriff's department in the state with that. So we got them better training. We got them equipment. They were on the pods with no radios to radio for help. We got them radios. We got them body-worn cameras for accountability as well. And we also got them ballistic vests, which they did not have in the streets. And we allowed them to get out on the streets. They work side by side with NLPD in the French Quarter on, it is a detail. So it's extra work for them. It's not part of their regular daily routine. So we said we're going to take care of our deputies. We did that. Two, I said we're going to do something about those in our custody. So if you know anything about people in our custody, you know that, or you may not know this, but the Orleans Justice Center, or the jail, is the largest provider of mental health in the state. The largest. We went up to 1,600 people, 350 over the limit, city council limit. How many people know that the sheriff does not decide who comes in and who goes out? You come in with an arrest, by and large, that's mostly either NLPD or the state police, and you can only get out how? A judge says so. A court order. That's the only way you get out. So I don't decide who the population is, but we took it on. And our deputies, which we were only at 60% staffing, took that on. We took on 17-year-olds in the jail. Yeah, keep them safe. We took on this large population, so we got these folks in our custody. We now have a programming department. So from the time they come in, we are working on their reentry, mental health, addiction, and trauma training. And they have to have a place to go when they leave. We are helping to bring down the crime when we get folks to a better place. I promised I'd do that. I'm doing that. Then we said we modernized this department. I'm going to age myself. Our systems had black screens and green pros. Who learned that in high school? I did. Okay, that was the 80s technology, y'all. So we've updated all that. I'm keeping my promises, and I'll keep this city safe. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
So what do you think about the candidates? Did anyone stand out for you? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please drop a like, check out my other videos, and as always, follow the truth.